Hello, hello. Reporting live, or not live, not remotely live. I'm recording this video. It is, what day is it? I mean, the same day it's published. It'll be like 10 minutes after I recorded. It's November 20th, Thursday, and this is a momentous occasion for no one but me. I've got my first article published in the Daily Nexus, and there's something so beautiful about going to the newspaper stand and finding some of your own work. But here is my piece, which inspired or is the motivation to make this video. This piece is called "No Kings Isn't Enough," and it was really just a. So basically, last month I went to the No Kings protests, and I realized that at first I went there because I wanted to cover it. I kind of wanted to like get in the vibe of it all, get excited, get protesty, get agitated with other people who are agitated similarly to myself. And that's not really what No Kings is about. No Kings was such a silly little event, and that's what the article talks about. What makes the event in my view ultimately kind of useless. But I was excited to write this article because what I believe these days, I believe that as a leftist, a person left of Chuck Schumer, it's my job, or at least I can be useful in explaining to liberals who have not been offered an explanation of what Democrats are doing wrong and how they can improve, offering them that explanation. I think that that's a good project to engage in, and so I wrote this article hoping that if any people who maybe have somewhat engaged with the No Kings protests or things like that, so that they could have a moment of reflection and contemplate how Democrats are failing the people who they claim to represent, but also the country at large. Because I mean, fascism no good. I'm not a fan. Hope you're not a fan. Um, but obviously, I couldn't really go on at length in this article about all the things that I think are wrong, and I can't do that in this video either because we don't have 200 to 300 years, unfortunately. But I really just wanted to kind of give a little bit more explanation for like what my goal is in this article, because this article just like kind of talks about the Democratic Party sucks. And this is before the government shutdown, actually. So this is, I would have definitely included that if I knew that I was going to be writing this, or if this article was going to be pushed back so late, basically, because the editing process, Jesus Christ, what a nightmare. I mean, I'm like sick looking at this damn article on this page. I can barely appreciate it because I've read it so many times. Add a comma here, make sure to add Donald in, and then there's like the stylistic choices. I don't like that I had to call Donald Trump the 45th and 47th president. That's the most useless. Everyone knows who Donald Trump is. And if you don't, he's also just the president right now. I don't have to give the number. Anyways, enough of my complaining. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. It's going to be an abrupt little cut here while I gather my thoughts. Uh, okay, so basically, what I really want liberals and people who are like committed to the Democratic Party to take away from my analysis and from my writing here and future writing as well, and these videos, basically anything that I do politically, I really do want to reach out to liberals because I think they're good people. I think they've got heart. They've got their heads in the game. I don't think their heads are really doing as much as they could be, but they're in the game, and that's important. It's an important thing I think to tap into as a leftist. But the Democrats are ineffectual and they're weak, and those are two things you don't want in any sort of a political operation. Weakness, obviously, because how are you supposed to pass your agenda if you don't have the power to do so? And being ineffectual is, in a sense, even worse because you can then get elected to office and then try to pass your agenda and then just not do it. That's what the fuck, It's important that we do not have a party like this. And it's important we don't have a party like this because people don't deserve a party like this. And if liberals are not capable of leading this party, the opposition party to Donald Trump, then I think leftists should do it. But ultimately, what I really want to say, on top of congratulating myself on this very minor achievement, what I really want to say is that I think a lot of people are, or I'm going to speak to liberals. I'm going to speak to liberals, and I talk to a good number of liberals. And unfortunately for myself, fortunately for them, hopefully, uh, I want liberals to understand that the choice is not between radical communism and radical fascism. The choice is between winning and losing. And ultimately, it doesn't really. I mean, look at the Republicans. You don't see Republicans saying, "Well, Donald Trump is a piece of shit and he's not a Christian." I mean, that was like very 2016 era, but you don't see that these days. And you don't see that these days because Republicans they've been delivered for. And once your political movement delivers for you, you're a lot less concerned with these silly internal squabbles. Oh, are we Nazis? Are we not Nazis? Do we let the groyper Nick Fuentes, who's been fucking a catboy on the internet for the last decade, the gayest little fucking freak weirdo Nazi who stays in his, literally it's like Powder staying in his basement, leads a movement of people who are stuck in their basement, half of which are probably in fucking Pakistan. And they're like, oh, do we let him in the tent or do we not? These are the conversations they're having. Meanwhile, AOC is afraid to say primary Hakeem Jeffries. This is just a crazy, crazy, crazy asymmetry of conversation that we have going on, because the right has lapped us. They've lapped us, and they're laughing at us from atop of the fucking ivory tower that they're going to turn the White House into, or the Washington Monument with Trump's head on it. I'm sure one of these days. And that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And so, like, to any liberal, I really do hope, or the people whose minds are not completely set on what we should do in this Trump era, fight, fight, period. And that's it. Anyone who's not here to fight, they're here to lose. If they're here to lose, they shouldn't be here. They should not be here in this political movement, because you can't build a political movement out of losers. And that's what the Democratic Party seems committed to be. Salud Carbajal, for example, in the article I talk about Salud Carbajal and Greg Hart's speeches. Salud Carvajal's speech was the dog shit. It was garbage. It was so silly. It was like, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed watching him, because all he did was just be loud. Oh, Trump is bad. Say no to authoritarians, to dictators in Santa Barbara. And I'm like, dude, you're in the military, man. Like, I'm sure you've had to like bullshit to somebody who you actually respected. Like, why don't you try that with us? Because this is just like, it's fucked up the way that Democratic politicians treat their voters. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. He just like, Trump is bad. Woo. But whatever. Then Greg Hart. I like Greg Hart. I've shaken his hand a number of times. He seems like a nice enough guy. Actually, I watched him in the Senate supporting one of his bills, and there were people there in opposition, and he listened very diligently to what they had to say. So, I think he's a perfectly fine gentleman. What I don't think is perfectly fine is the fact that his speech at the No Kings rally, he spent the first goddamn minute at least going, and Monique Limon is so exciting, and she's going to be the first Latina mom speaker of the California State. But who gives a fuck? Have you been to California? It's not a fun place to live. Shit, we can't go anywhere. You can't even get like from the Bay to Santa Barbara to LA to anywhere like this fucking high speed rail. How about we get high speed rail finished? You want to talk about California? Let's talk about that. But yeah, that was that was just like an aside about how I think these Democrats they're not ready for this moment. They're not meeting this moment. When people are not meeting the moment, get new people who do. That'll be the conclusion of this video. I'm not sure how rambly that was, but I think I did a better job than I have in the past, hopefully.